Doug, we've done so many of these assessments here recently, and it always amazes me when we walk onto a premises and start the initial assessment or do the initial walk around. There's so many things that just in the perimeter, just walking around the outside, that pop out at us as, I wonder why they don't have this or that. And we're talking to whoever it is that we're working with, the customer, and they look at us and they say, you know what, I've never thought about that. You're right.
Well, you say it all the time. It's like when you walk in somebody's house or their office or whatever, and there's a picture a little bit out of alignment. They see it every day, so they kind of become a little bit blind to it, but you see it. I think you've got that, and when we get there, and we do it all the time, we just immediately just start looking. Even when we do our walkarounds, which is kind of our first phase of doing an assessment, we're already making notes. We're already seeing those things. Yeah. So when that happens, but then, kind of second part of that is the reason they want to get us there. And usually that's a couple different things. One, they know they need help, but they don't know what they need. Or two, they know they need help, and whether it's the school or a business or a church, they've got to work with some group or committee or a board to approve it, so they need somebody to help educate them. And I think that's where we can play an important role.
Well, we had a good example of that with a school that we did in the past, where the person on the premises knew specifically of issues that they were having, but he could never get it moved past the board or the committee to get something done about it. And so he tasked us to come out and take a look at their whole premises, interior, exterior, do an assessment. And he said, a lot of what you guys are seeing are things I'm aware of, but I've got to have a third party that kind of backs up what I feel needs to be done. And that's the value in it, because we have the expertise in doing the assessments, and that bears a lot of weight when it comes to people actually responding and doing what they need to do to make their premises safer.
Yeah, and unfortunately in our current societal issues, you've got people who are really concerned about things, and then you've got other folks who still want to say that'll never happen here. And that's what I think we get a little bit concerned about, is you just cannot do the old ostrich burying your head in the sand thing. It's just not going to work. Which is why when we do the assessment and we take the approach that we've put together, I feel like from a risk vulnerability perspective, from a business perspective, because we always talk to people about, so many of the things that they can do really don't cost a lot of money.
Procedural and policy. Just change the procedures of what you do. Instead of having, you might have 6 doors to get inside a building, a church, whatever it is, you might have 10 doors. Do you need all 10 doors where people can come in? Why not put some people, or at least lock the doors down, where at least you can identify everybody walking into your place of work or your place of worship? And that's what we see so often that does not exist, is that people can get in because there are so many ways to do that. And simple things like that, where you just eliminate access or have access control, and it doesn't cost you anything.
But the biggest issue, and I know we talk about it all the time, and we talk to clients about it all the time, is we feel like we can help them prevent 90+% of their issues by keeping the issues outside.
If you can secure what's going on outside a building, a business, a church, and you keep it in the perimeter, and that's a big emphasis item for us, is the perimeter. But if you can keep it in the perimeter, it never gets inside. So then you have to look backwards or look forward and see, what do we do to make sure that any things that are going on the outside, whether it's somebody surveilling, taking pictures of the property, someone that doesn't really seem to belong there that's just walking around, those are the kind of people you need to engage and find out what's going on. Once they know that they've been seen or watched, the risk has just gone down, because they're probably going to go somewhere else.
One thought you were making about access control can be as simple as appropriate signage, and having a sign up that says, this facility, this location is monitored by cameras, smile, you're on candid camera. It's that simple, because That's what the bad guys are looking for. They're looking at where are the gaps and can I get in this place?
And again, you've talked about something that really doesn't cost much money, but you might have significantly mitigated something bad from happening because they know there is a plan. I think one of the best ways, one of the best terms to describe what it is, what we do, at the end of the day, it's risk reduction. We can never say we can eliminate the risk, but we can say confidently that we can significantly reduce the risk.
Well, there's no such thing as taking risk to zero. There's nothing that you do that there isn't some element of risk in it. And again, what we're trying to do is help people get that risk as low as possible, or to a level, if you think of it, whether it's a monetary question or physical limitations that they may have that they've got to work within. I know one of the things we always talk to people about, because they just assume right off the bat, again, that we're going to have to spend a lot of money, is we ask them, what's your deductible on your property general liability coverage? And most businesses, certainly churches and schools, you're talking $10,000, $25,000, maybe even $50,000. Well, if you've got that much available, or should have that on your books every year to deal with an issue, if you had a claim, you've got money right there that could probably pay for 80% of the things that we're going to talk about.
And that's a good point to make, because the things that we find, that involve, increasing technology, whether it's cameras or lighting or whatever it happens to be, secure doors, film on windows, we don't sell any of that stuff, and that's not our intent. We don't want to be in the business of selling the kinds of things that we recommend, because we want to be completely objective with what we're finding and what we think they really need to do, and we can provide them possibilities of vendors that supply it, but we're not in that business at all. We don't want to mix the recommendation with we'll sell you something.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important thing.
And I mean, we've sat with people who have the responsibility of dealing with schools, and we talk to them about things that they can do, and you get the response of, hey guys, right now I'm just trying to make sure I got enough money in the budget that we can replace the broken locks that the kids create.
Yeah.
So,
and if it's a lock that a kid broke, it's probably not a very good lock.
That's probably not a very good lock, but it's also, then you got to ask, why did that happen? Is that a particular area that we may need to, again, we need to reroute where people go, we need to get people off of it. But I mean, that's the reality of what probably more schools than businesses and churches, but that we've dealt with really large churches. We've had churches that have 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 members, and we've had churches that had 200 members. Mm-hmm. There's a big disparity in what people can do. Yeah. So again, what are the things that we can do, as you said earlier, process, procedure, and that's things as simple and as straightforward as when are you going to open your business? What's your process for opening that business, that school, that church? And when everybody leaves, how are you going to secure it when everybody leaves? Mm-hmm. So what's your opening and closing procedure? And how many times have we asked that question and we get a blank stare back of, oh, well, we don't know
what we would do.
We don't know.
We hadn't thought about that.
Well, we do this and we do this, but our real problem is we got 47 people that have keys.
And the assessment that we provide them that covers everything, the perimeter of the building, the interior, is really a blueprint of going forward. It's not something that we would ever expect, or that most companies or churches would have the ability to address immediately. But it's a blueprint, it's a map of what we need to do to make our place safer. And it might take 5 years to complete everything that they find that we have, or that's on the assessment that we've actually found as vulnerabilities for their place of work or place of worship. But it does give them a plan to go by. And something else you said that I wanted to address was regarding the insurance and the cost of the deductible and all that. But one of the biggest things that affects long-term a business or a church is reputational risk. And you dealt with that when you were in the hospital industry. But what's the?
Well, I mean, just think of it all, and there's that one, all shucks wipes out a whole bunch of attaboys, right? So it just takes one incident And whether that's a third-party violent incident, or as we've talked about, your insider risk, which might be whether it's a church or school or a business where you've got a domestic situation that might explode and spill over, or you've got two individuals that've got personality conflicts, whatever that might be.
Or somebody loses their job and comes back.
And all it takes is that person coming back in, creating a situation, and then other people who want to come to that church or use that business go, you know what? I can find someplace else to go that I don't have to worry about this kind of thing happening. And you're sitting there with a business that's invested money. Now all of a sudden, they don't have the revenue coming in. They're going to have an economic situation occur. And it could have easily been prevented by taking steps. But
their reputation is damaged because of something happening like that. And there's a concern that people have about going to that church or going to that business because they remember something bad happened there.
Well, and fortunately, how many schools have we seen? And
that's what you remember the school by.
Well, it's somebody who's come back, and like the situation that happened in Nashville with the Presbyterian school. This is a former graduate, obviously has mental problems, has issues, and comes back. Now, what's happened to that school? What's the status of that school? You think on bigger terms like Marjorie Stoneman Douglas down in Florida, or Uvalde out in Texas. It's almost like you want to say, okay, we're gonna raise that school and come up with another school so we can get that blot off of our register. But you can't do that. It's not economically feasible to do that. And then you get a church where they have an incident, and now all of a sudden 15, 20, 25% of the congregation leaves, but you got a mortgage, you got a bond, you got whatever it is that you've used to finance that building. Now you don't have the revenue to pay for it. So taking basic steps and following basic fundamentals, again, we can't take risk to zero, but if we can reduce it to a level where you're comfortable living with it and you understand the effects that something could have, then maybe we've really helped.
Well, and I think of, I can think to about the last 3 or 4 assessments that we've done for, one was a government facility actually, and then we had a private Christian academy and a church. And in all those situations, you could see it in their eyes, and in the final discussion we had with them, that there's a sense of relief almost, that now they know what they need to do, or that they have a plan, and they feel like some things have been really identified that they can work on and make themselves, and they've thanked us. They've thanked us for, we feel a lot better about.
And in almost every one of those cases, we've reinforced some things for the people who brought us in to say, and it's not, I told you so, but it's just, okay, this is what we've been trying to get some movement on. Now that y'all have come in, people are listening, and maybe we can go get that extra money we need, or we can
budget for it.
Budget for it, or in one case, it was just like, do we need to do this now? And after we did our presentation, the powers that be said, yeah, we need to do this now.
That's the greatest satisfaction, I think, to all of us that work in this, is we know we've made a difference in making their place of work or worship safer. And it makes us feel good when they acknowledge and thank us for what we provided them. And that's all we can ask for, really.
Well, anytime we do an assessment, or we're going to provide it, and I think we've done a pretty good job of it, is setting expectations of what they can expect back from us and what we think we can help them with. And because we've done that, when we do come in and we sit down with them and we go through the deliverable, I do think you're right. I think that's where that kind of kicks in, because, we didn't come in with something that's insurmountable, that they're like, well, we just paid money for something and there's no way we can do all of this.
And of course, we always want to follow up with the people after we provided this a month or further down the road and make sure they're aware that they can call us if they have questions about anything. A month down the road, 2 months, whenever it is, we're always there to assist and help.
I mean,
So,
we've we probably a half dozen different times we've come back 2-3 months later and said, okay, we've kind of pushed it up, but can y'all come in and help with the presentation to the council, the board, whomever it might be. And I don't know, I just feel like that's good customer service from our perspective.
And that's what we want. We just want to, we want people to feel and know that they're safer because of the actions they're taking based on the information we provide through the assessment.